Alrighty, welcome to not quite the last video in the series, but kind of near the end. And I have to admit, I'm sad about that. It's been a lot of fun doing these. I've loved the wonderful reaction I've received from people. You seem to be enjoying it. Your lots of comments, and we'll be able to continue this on into the rest of the year if you easy for you to say, if you are so inclined. But it's time to take everything we've put together over the last 3 months or so and come up with not quite the final thing, but pretty close to the final step of what we're going to do. So this is kind of the final phase, and it's called committing to yourself. We've come from taking a look at a calendar to figuring out what our goals are going to be. We've learned about how Halloween candy is the most expensive candy ever. We've dealt with food pushers. We've dealt with food bombs. We've been on Facebook groups. We've been on the online support group. I've sent text messages. There's been email responses. There's been affirmations. There's been a lot of information in this program, and judging by the reaction, it's been helpful, and I really appreciate the reaction. But we're not done yet, because everything you've done means nothing if you don't have a commitment to yourself to follow through. And that's what we're going to do in this last stage. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to have to download, again, one more file to get the self-contract. And you will notice that it says step 3 on it. Now, the reason it's step 3 is because step 1 was using the 80-20 rule to figure out what it is that was a problem. Step 2 was coming up with a solution, and now step 3 is putting this all together into your self-contract, which will take you through however long you would like it to be. It's pretty self-explanatory up here. What you want to do is put down a date, whatever date it happens to be for you. And then you want to put down the date by which you will achieve your goal. So in this example, I just put down January 17th and picked a goal of December 31st. It could be, January 17th to January 31st for that matter. It's whatever dates you want. And then you're going to write down in this other slot your great big goal. So in this example, you've gone through the holidays and you're doing well and you made it through the toughest part of the year, and now you want to make it through I won't call it the easier part of the year, but there are fewer triggers coming up. So you say, okay, by the end of this year, I would like to have lost an additional 30 pounds. Now, as I've mentioned before in the other videos, at least in one of them, people don't buy what they need, they buy what they want. They back it with logic. We buy the fact that we can lose weight or we cannot lose weight. We buy the fact that it's worth it or it isn't, but we do it based on an emotional decision, not a logical decision. This is not to say that we are irrational people, but we are emotional people first, logical people second. So if we only use if we only write down our goal, that's a logical thing. If we want it to really appeal to us, we have to come up with some of the fun things about why we want to do that goal. So the next line of the contract here has you list some of the benefits of that goal, some of the things you will get from it. I mean, who cares what number you are when you stand on the scale? That number represents some benefits for you. And in this example, I put down better health, more self-esteem, feel more attractive, be able to move pain-free, and then be a role model for your kids. These are just examples, whatever your benefits are. So here's the deal. If your goal is December 31st, you sure as heck don't want to wait till December 30th before you start working on it. So what you need to do is set up some incremental goals. And if you're going to have lost, in this example, 30 pounds by the end of December, then maybe the goal is to have lost 15 pounds by the end of June. And then when you lose those 15 pounds, what are you going to do for yourself? In this example, I said, well, maybe get a new outfit, because if you lost 15 pounds, your clothes are hanging on you. But that might be one thing to do. Whatever it is that is exciting to you. I had a coaching client, and what she would do all year long when she thought of fun things that were rewards, she'd put them in a little jar. When she'd put a slip of paper in the little jar. And then when it was time to get a reward, she'd reach into the jar and pull something out. That's a great idea. I think it's a lot of fun. Don't put down that your reward would be a house or something, but little things that you see, maybe a new book, going to a movie. In order to get to June 30th, and be on track, you need to have a smaller goal. So here I put down 5 pounds by the end of March. And as a reward, you can certainly call me and boast. That would be fun. But one of the best rewards I can think of is when you get to a goal of whatever it is and you're trying to think of some way to reward yourself, why not pick up the phone, call somebody you've been meaning to call and you haven't called in a while? Because you go, I've just been really, really busy, and say, hey, I just achieved my goal of losing 5 pounds and I'm required to reward myself, and calling you was my reward. You can insert your aw here, because that's a really cool thing. And the person on the other end will certainly be supportive of what you're doing. It will also build in a nicer support network for you. I think I've talked about this before. And in addition to that, you help build a better relationship. So that might be at 5 pounds. Now, all of your incremental goals might not be weight related, because in order to lose the weight, you got to be doing something. So maybe another incremental goal you have is, in order to lose those 5 pounds by March 31st, you're going to walk 30 minutes a day for 3 days a week by the end of February. Because maybe you're not walking at all, so you don't want to jump right into it, but you'll say, okay, I'll start walking 30 minutes a week once a week. And then the next week, maybe it's 30 minutes a week, twice a week. So by the end of February, you are now doing this other goal, which will lead to the 5-pound goal, which will lead to the 15-pound goal. And again, a reward for that. In this example, I just put down, maybe get a new bed set. Because good for you, you're feeling good about yourself, you want to be in a nice environment. So this is the top half of the contract, and you see as we get to the bottom it says emergency tools. So let's take a look at that. We have our goals here, our incremental goals, and now to the bottom we get our emergency tools. Now the emergency tools are things that you will use when you start to feel off track, and they're things that you can do immediately, like within 10-15 minutes. Nothing complex. So, example of emergency tool is, I put down one would be track what I'm eating. And when would you pull out that emergency tool? When you feel you're being sloppy. I don't ever believe you're cheating. I believe that sometimes you're being careless or you're being sloppy. We all do that. So when you find yourself going, I'm not real happy with how I'm doing here, I'm feeling really sloppy, quick, what's my emergency go-to tool? I will start tracking, and I'll do it right now. I don't care if I have to write it on a napkin. I don't care if I have to write it on my hand. I'm doing it right now. That's one emergency tool. Another emergency tool I put down is maybe write down how I'm feeling. When would you use that? In the event of an emotional upset. We've talked about the eating cycle and triggers. So if you know that being stressed out is an emotional upset that causes you to eat, and you're finding yourself stressed, what are you going to do? Quick, pull out a pad and write down your feelings. So those would be your emotional tools. Then you agree to the contract, and I want you to notice that read the contract, and you are then going to go ahead and sign it down at the bottom. One of the 5 habits of successful habit change that I talk about in my local seminars one of them is called close the back door, which means make it as difficult as possible to go backwards and as easy as possible to go forward. By building a good support network is one example. So if you fill this out and you just leave it somewhere, that's good. But if you fill this out and you get somebody to actually sign it for you, that they have seen it and they have read it, that's even better, because it makes it more difficult to go backwards. Now you might say to yourself, well, what happens if I fail? Well, first of all, you can't fail. You might choose to change your mind. You might choose that the goal is not worthwhile, and you will notice in the contract, there is a clause which says, I have the right to change my mind. So if at any time I do not like the consequences of my action or the trajectory of my plan, I will analyze the situation and do something different, congratulating myself for refusing to be a victim. So there's your self-contract. Print it out, fill it out, keep it available, check it regularly. Our next video will kind of be a recap, and I am telling you in advance that at the next video I'm going to ask you to go take a survey, because I would like to know from this program what worked for you, what are the tools that were most appropriate, what suggestions you have for me, what didn't work for you, and quite frankly, would you recommend this to other people? How would you like to be involved over the rest of the year? So kind of like what you did before you got into this one, I'm now looking at another 8-month program, which would start on This Time I Mean It Day. This Time I Mean It Day is a holiday that I have created, hoping to make it go nationwide. It happens to be February 15th because it's 6 weeks after the new year, and most people, literally 92% of people, give up on their resolutions by the end of January. So I thought to myself, well, This Time I Mean It Day, what a cool thing that would be. The day after the day of commitment, see, February 14th is the day of commitment, February 15th is the day to recommit yourself to your new resolutions, and that's when the new program is going to start. Hopefully you'll be part of it. Either way, thank you very much. One more video on its way. Take good care. Treat yourself special. And congratulations on making it through the holidays.